Hello, hello, and good day. It me, Fresh Baked Niche, back at it again. It feels nice. Obviously I've been struggling for a while, would be the best way to put it. How far back do I want to go? So, like a year or so ago, a friend of mine gifted me the computer I've been using for the past, I don't know. I mean, like, year. But, like, it's been working fine for the past several months. And then very recently, my editing software, which is DaVinci Resolve, what I like to use for making videos, it just like stopped working. And, it turned out I needed to upgrade to Windows 11. And it was like, okay, sure, we'll think about it. Well, then, like, OBS went down, some other stuff went down. It was like, I guess I'll figure it out. Well, this system, as it was handed to me, was on an Intel i5 something other on a motherboard that hasn't had a BIOS update since 2018. Or I should clarify, the newest update was in 2018. So, not definitely not up to snuff, and I found a way to get around it. And for a little bit there, I was able to have Windows 11, like, not properly, but at least I had it. Things didn't care. They ran smoothly enough. Well, then, actually, sorry, I guess that's the big thing. First, when I upgraded, I actually ended up losing everything because it was a slightly botched upgrade. I just, I think I clicked some things wrong. Maybe I misread something. I don't know. But I know it, like, the system locked up. I did some emergency powering off, powering on. And it was like, hey, you don't have a disk anymore. Also, fuck you. Like, okay, great. Well, by the time I got everything back up and working, I had lost everything, which, the Bakey model was gone. All my presets were gone. Every piece of software I was using for this stuff was gone. But not even just that, like, pictures, diagrams, things for my job, like, a lot of things just went up in smoke almost instantly. It was like, oh, this is awesome. I did all this work just for what? Nothing. It felt like. Yeah. So, it was just one of those things where it's just like, this feels bad in, like, the worst way. So, I've just been living with that. But then I've noticed the machine was tanking every once in a while, and it would just have these issues where it wasn't maybe performing to its best of its abilities. And then within the past month, I had another scare where anytime the machine was connected to the internet for more than, I don't know, 5-ish minutes, 6 minutes, it would just completely freeze. Like, no mouse, no keyboard, no nothing. It would just lock up, wouldn't make a sound, and my only options were to power off, power on. And now if I kept it offline, that was perfectly fine. It worked, well enough. But again, I use this machine for my job, and, how am I supposed to upload or do anything else if I can't connect to the internet? So it was just like, okay, this kind of sucks. This is bad. And just very recently, I made the trek to what is the closest micro center to me. And, I bought a new motherboard. I bought a new CPU. That's the word. I bought RAM, which, like, RAM is ridiculous, but I got lucky. They have a bundle. I don't know if they still do have it or not, but they had a bundle that would normally be $800, $820 before tax, and it was down to like $512. And I was just like, yeah, I'm jumping on that. So I went down, got that, got a new cooling system because this used to be completely water cooled, but unfortunately for me, that's been its own nightmare, trying to keep it topped off and also making sure that, like, you know, the loop and stuff were good and whatever. And I just, during all the diagnostics while trying to solve my previous issues, that was like its own mess, because it's just like, oh yeah, I can't just rip out the graphics cards and see if it's those, or I can't just take this out. So, you know, now it's completely air cooled. It's, again, everything seems to be working fine, and I am very, very happy so far with the performance. Seems like things run a little bit smoother too. Like, I can open programs and they don't take all day, and, you know, whatever. So that's been very good. And, you know, that's been about 5 minutes now, and this is definitely not what I've been wanting to talk about today, but I just want to let you guys know where I've been at, because, like, that's why I haven't really been uploading properly or whatever. I know I made some comments on Blue Sky, but I don't know who's actually looking at those, and you know, it's been a thing. But regardless, I don't remember if I've talked about this on the show or not, and I was thinking about it again recently, and, you know, I want to talk about this funny guy. So obviously I went to college, and, you know, I say obviously, I went to college. I was told to by my parents, you know, like, hey, this will be good for you, it's blah 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 blah. And this was before I understood, like, maybe I should go to, like, a technical school and learn through that. But, you know, whatever. I went. I had a really good time. I met some wonderful people, like, truly some lifelong friends. I've gotten some good memories out of it. And part of those good memories that I'd like to share with you was this one guy. Now, my campus had a lot of different little eateries. They all had funny little names. And this guy's name happened to not rhyme. I had some alliteration with one of them. But for the sake of this video, we're going to call him Cafe Carl. And he was an interesting fellow, rather large. I think he wore sweatpants a lot, but that guy should just be misremembering and gaslighting myself into thinking that's what he did wear. But regardless, he was generally happy, but there was something odd about him. So I met him sort of as a freshman. And when I say sort of met him, I mean I was aware of his presence. I had seen him around. But the one thing that I noticed almost immediately, he never talked to really any guys. Like, he was nice enough and could say some words to you, but he mostly only talked to women. And, you know, okay, maybe he's just, like, I don't want to say he was a creep, but it was just like, maybe there's something there. Maybe, you know, something's going on, I don't understand, whatever. But he liked to talk to women, exclusively, as far as I could tell. Okay, sure. Well, you know, the years went by. You know, you see him around campus a lot. And then the story just kept getting more in depth as it went on. Because first it was, hey, have you noticed this guy? Oh yeah, he's like everywhere, but he only seems to be hanging out around these 2 food places and nowhere else. Okay, that's a little weird. Oh hey, we spotted him at the library, but since it's next to one of the 2 food places, it's like, okay, so his circle of influence seems to be kind of small. Okay, sure. Hey, have you noticed, like, we don't know his major. We've never heard him talk about schoolwork. Do we know what's going on there? No, we don't. Okay. Hey, fellas. So, I've never seen him outside of, like, this area. Have you guys noticed that? Yeah, now that you mention it, that's a little weird. Yeah, I agree. It's a little strange that, you know, this one guy is just kind of in this one little area, only talks to women, doesn't seem to be anywhere else on campus. Okay, cool. And then we kind of just wrote him off, like, oh, maybe he's part of the arts program, because they were on, like, a different end from where we were, because we were all in the various sciences. And then I want to say it was somewhere between my sophomore and junior years. It was discovered that he, in fact, wasn't a student. Now, I believe we were told he's an alumni, but I want to say at least once I heard the possibility that he might have just dropped out. But either which way, we'll give him the credit. We'll say he's alumni. But he just, like, never left. He just perpetually shows up and hangs out on campus all day, every day, from, like, morning to night. Basically 7 days a week. It's, you know, you'd be hard pressed to find a day where he wasn't around. So, you know, that's okay, a little odd. And then I want to say around that same time when I found this out was like the biggest incident that will always stick in my mind. So I was walking to lunch after class. It was me and I think just one other guy. And just ahead of us was this group of women, like 8, 10, 12. It was definitely an even number, and it was definitely a lot. And okay, whatever. Well, then this guy, Cafe Kevin, walks around the corner. And he proceeds to do what I would call nothing short of a miracle. He says hello to every single one of those girls by name, individually, and for almost every single one of them, he dropped basically like a fun fact. You know, hey, Samantha, happy birthday. Hello, Sam, I'm sorry your dog died, which is, I don't remember the girl's name, but I do remember that exact line of dialogue. I am sorry your dog died. Hey, Brooke, I heard you passed this one exam. Good job. Like, he just went through the line, and it was very intimate details. And we kept walking. We rounded the corner. He had just come around. We went and got our food, and then we sat there, and we were just like, that was really uncomfortable. That was just really, really odd. That's something that should not, you know, happen. And, you know, we're still talking about it all these years later. And, you know, he, as far as I'm aware, he was definitely there up until COVID, which I guess will give a bit of a timeline there. Just because that's when the last of the friend group was graduating, and like, I'm pretty sure he said he saw this individual still on campus around that time. And I'm not sure we've seen him since. Not that you necessarily want to. Again, nice enough guy. However, definitely just a very odd duck, you know? Like, I'm trying to say this as nicely as I humanly can. I don't mean to offend. It's just, it's so odd. And, you know, that just lives on with us till probably the day we die. I mean, you know, it's just, it is. I guess that's just the best way to put it. It is. And, you know, if anybody has any inkling on what I'm talking about, first of all, keep that to yourself, but, you know, we know. We know what's up. And if somehow, you know, Cafe Kevin is listening, you are a legend as far as I'm concerned. But not like Hercules, more like Mothman. And that is, I guess, the best way I can put this. Um, so yeah, I'd like to get back into the regularly scheduled content. Again, I keep saying I have ideas, and I do have ideas. It's just the truth is the Pokemon challenge I'm doing on the other channel is definitely eating up a lot more of my time than I thought it was going to, and yeah, you know, I'm getting back in the swing of things now that I basically haven't had like a normal schedule in like what feels like forever. So here's to hopefully the rest of the year, and maybe we can figure some shit out. But well, you know, until next time, please have a good day, all, and I do hope to see you in the next one. Bye bye.